I'm Nancy Lunsford, and I'm here at 440 Gallery in Park Slope, Brooklyn, for the opening of my exhibition, Slate and Bone. I say it's the opening of the show, but actually the gallery is closed, probably for the entire month that the show is up, because of the coronavirus. So I'm going to walk you through the show. There's my solo exhibition in the front, and in the back, a group show, 3 of the artists, Janet Peterson, Lee Blanchard, and Amy Weil. 440 Gallery was founded 15 years ago. I founded it with Shani Epstein. And so this show is a little bit of a retrospective. I would say most of the work was done within the past year, but there are some earlier works that relate to the very early days of the gallery. I have basically 3 bodies of work. This one here is about the African diaspora due to the trafficking in human life that is the slave industry, which helped found this country. And I began a series like this dealing with African American history, which I was educating myself about a couple of years ago. In my last show I did with Joanne McFarlane called Mending, with the idea of mending, learning about the African American experience in this country, because it is part of my experience as an American, as well as anyone else. This is an American story in general. So I had been doing slates about 20 years ago, and this woman, Claudine Barbeau, bought about 5 of them before I could even exhibit them. And when she passed away last year, her son returned these to me, and it was such a gift because I had even forgotten I'd done them. I wanted to add to these early pieces with some pieces on shells, seashells, as an homage to those who were lost on the Middle Passage or sold over in the United States. So these are all portraits of people that I've sourced from several places. I tried to get the slates to be a little more African-centered at the time. I have some symbols on there, some of which I've taken from textiles, but others are just nonsense symbols because I wanted to emphasize the fact that the culture is broken off from the whole. There are things that you don't understand. The name of this one is the most recent one I finished. This is called Lost Brother, just the connection of home, of the intimate familial connections, but also the loss of culture, the loss of identity. And in these are just focused on portraits of people that I wanted to give an intense look at the humanity. And the other piece that is part of this is one that I started a couple of years ago and just finished recently, that is something about sort of the old-fashioned idea of the plantation, how that is glamorized in movies and things. And I've also been reading a book about how women who sort of get a pass, how they were actually very active in trading in human lives and in running their own businesses, and sometimes traded in human lives themselves. And the figure underneath, of course, represents the enslaved population, which is what her entire structure is built on. Other than that, this piece here, there's a piece of a pelvic bone. That's a female pelvis, because that has been significant to me, as I call it, birthing bones. This is the portal of life that in a corrupt system like this is much more significant than just a human life. I've been very moved by how there are some very simple things that we take for granted: having a cup of tea, having a baby, the joy of having a baby, getting married and having sex and that sort of thing. And there's all of these things had such a twisted perversion to them in a system where you don't belong to yourself. And over here is a body of work that I did a year ago in Zhujiazhuang, China. I call this work Extended Family. So I was in this residency south of Shanghai for 2 months, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And then after a trip to Xi'an to see the terracotta soldiers, which was amazing, thousands of these soldiers, each with an individual face, it gave me the idea to do as many portraits as I could of the people that I met while I was there. I did about 50 in about 6 weeks' time. And I purposely chose a thick brush, a very loose style, because I was going for speed. I also wanted to do something colorful, because I'd been to China about 35 years earlier, and the difference was amazing. How much brighter and more colorful it was, very modern, very advanced as far as the trains and everything. And so I wanted to capture some of this vibrancy and the color and the individuality. Every person here has a story. I met each one of them. This one was a musician working in one of the bars there. This is a little boy in the neighborhood. This was the daughter of an artist. Here's an artist who was very helpful. This man here I met on the bridge, and I like this one because it was the first one that I did in this series, and I love the looseness of that, and I kept wanting to capture that. So each one has a story. They became like a family, so I called it Extended Family. We are an extended family, literally, in the world. And I arranged it not in a grid, but I sort of did this sort of natural installation, so that to give the idea of starting and spreading out, like human contact, positive and negative in every way. And over on this wall, I have works that are drawings on paper done in a sketch group. I ran out of my studio, and that group was the origin of this gallery space, because we decided to show the work in a pop-up, a one-time exhibition. And then we decided if we all got together and all pitched in, we could maintain the gallery space. And that was 15 years ago. And so this body of work is an homage to the origins of the gallery, but also to the idea of working from the figure. It's sort of like the core of everything, drawing a human body that has made itself vulnerable to you like this. It's landscape. It has every element of art that you can imagine. It even has an emotional element in that you are connecting one-on-one with a human being. So this is my homage to that, origins of the gallery here. And then I have a few other pieces from the past and more recent, and that's my show. Back here in the project space, we have a group show, In Flux, with 3 artists, Janet Peterson, Lee Blanchard, and Amy Wild. They all work in different media, but all 3 of them are dealing with movement and things in flux, how transition happens in the process of making their work. Lee Blanchard works in a medium, she's a photographer, but she works in something called scanography. She creates a digital image, prints it up, puts it through a scanner, moves it while it's in the scanner to create another image, and keeps layering this over and over again to create a piece. This particular work is printed on fabric, and it's hung like a curtain with a rod at the top. She's taken images, various images from slinkies and some publications, and has made a completely new digital photograph. Just as Lee Blanchard's work shows kind of playfulness and the energy of discovery, so it is with the other 2 artists here. This is Amy Wild. She works in encaustic. It's a very old medium that she has made her own. She has a play with geometry and organic shapes, kind of a tension between the 2 that creates a bit of an energy. And she layers the work. Sometimes it's intuitive, sometimes it's very thought out. These are her works here. She even plays with texture, with some of the wax, but it's layers of wax, sometimes collage built in. Janet Peterson's body of work in this show are dancing figures that she has observed in videos, and again plays with the balance. She tries to find just the right image to freeze in order to reproduce, and get the idea of movement, color, and she makes up the backgrounds generally, but it's generally for gesture and movement that she has the interplay of the figures in her work. Love this. We have flat files here representing each of the 15 artists who are members. I know you can't come to the gallery during this time, but we can always connect with you if you see any work in this video that you would like to see in person. You can call or email info@440gallery.com. Our gallery director, Amy Williams, will be happy to discuss with you any work. I can come and show you the actual physical work, one-on-one, keeping 6 feet away. Hope you are taking care of your own health during this time, and wishing you all the best. And please enjoy art. Art is a healing thing. It will save us all.